Here's the agenda for the class. We'll first explore FPGA architecture, then moving on to design methodology and software. FPGAs varies greatly with their CPLD predecessors. FPGA labs are made up of a number of blocks of logic called logic elements, or LEs, and in more advanced devices, adaptive logic modules, or ALMs. Each of these logic blocks consists of lookup tables, registers, and other configurable features. Routing interconnect is separate from those logic blocks. LEs, or ALMs, may look similar to CPLD macro cells, but they are much more configurable and provide a number of extra features to improve performance and minimize wasted logic resources. The diagram here shows the detail of an LE in a typical FPGA lab. The LE is made up of three main parts: the lookup table, or LUT, the carry logic, and the output register logic. The LUT, or lookup table, is the key to the creation of sum of product functions out of combinatorial logic in an FPGA. The LUT replaces the product term array found in CPLDs. FPGAs uses 4 or more input LUTs to create complicated functions. A LUT is made up of a series of cascaded multiplexers where the LUT inputs are used as the select lines. The inputs to the multiplexers are programmed as high or low logic levels. The logic is called a lookup table because the output is selected by looking up the correct programmed level and routing it correctly through the multiplexers based on the LUT input signals. The program levels selected are based on the truth table for the function. As an example, this minterm is routed through the LUT where A and B are high and C and D are low. This particular minterm corresponds to this product term in the desired logic function. While it may seem like more logic levels are required to produce outputs on a LUT versus CPLD macro cell, the flexibility of function creation and LE chaining, which we'll look at in a moment, provide improved performance and help to minimize wasted resources. The synchronous part of an LE comes from the programmable register. It is usually driven by a global device clock, but any clock domain can drive any LE. Asynchronous control signals of the register, such as clear, reset, or preset, can be generated by other logic or come from an I/O pin. The output of the register can drive out of the LE to the device's routing channel, or be fed back into the LUT, similar to the feedback possible in a CPLD macro cell. The register can also be bypassed to produce a strictly combinatorial logic function, again similar to a CPLD. It's also possible to completely bypass the LUT to just use the register for memory or synchronization. This flexibility in the output stage of the LE makes it extremely useful for all types of logic operations. The final key section that distinguishes an LE from a macro cell is the carry and register chain logic. In the CPLD, carry bits and macro cell outputs can be fed into other macro cells, but this usually requires a return to the product term array. FPGA LEs contain specific carry logic and register chaining routes within labs to provide shortcuts for these signals. Carry bits can come from other LEs within the lab or from other labs in the device. Generated carry bits can be outputted to LEs or to the device interconnect. The LUT and carry logic can be bypassed completely within the lab to chain all the LE registers in the lab, turning them into a shift register, perfect for DSP type operations. The versatility of the carry logic and register chaining routes provides further performance and resource management gains over CPLDs. Because either the LUT or the register can be output to anywhere in the device, either in the same lab or through the device's routing channels, FPGA LEs can be configured to perform a function called register packing. With register packing, two separate functions can be output from a single LE, one from the LUT and carry chain logic, and the other from the output register. This can help save device resources, since a completely unrelated register function can be packed into an LE that's using only the combinatorial logic part of the block. With these building blocks in mind, let's take a closer look at how they are connected together to create an FPGA device. Here's a picture of some of the labs in modern FPGA device. This picture is from a tool called the Chip Planner inside Intel Quartus Prime software that makes it easy to see where logic is placed in an FPGA design. The darker color labs indicate that more of the resources contained within the lab are being used for this particular design. You can also see the routing channels running between the labs. To get more details on a particular architectural feature, you can zoom in on that feature, such as the lab highlighted here. Zooming on this particular lab, you can see that none of the logic resources are actually being used, indicated by the light blue background and the fact that all the resources in the lab are white. This lab and all the labs in this device contain many LEs, connected to each other and to the rows and column interconnect through the many visible small wires. You can zoom in further to look at individual LEs, such as this one. Here you can see it's made out of the lookup table and carry logic and the synchronous register logic. While the FPGA LE discussed so far has a definite design flexibility advantage over CPLD macro cells, LE cascading and feedback are still necessary to generate functions with more inputs than are available. To overcome this problem, all new FPGAs use a more versatile logic block as a replacement for the LE called an adaptive logic module, or ALM. An ALM is similar to an LE but provides some key advantages. First, ALMs include 2 or 4 output registers to provide even more options for logic chaining, register packing, and generating multiple functions within a single logic block. ALMs also have the built-in hardware adder block. The adders in the ALM are dedicated resources that can perform standard arithmetic operations without having to generate those math functions in the LUT or in the DSP. This can improve math performance and simplify the LUT logic. The LUT in an ALM is the main differentiator from an LE. The LUT in an ALM is an adaptive LUT or ALUT. An ALUT is similar to a LUT, but it can be split and configured into different sized LUTs to accommodate 2 separate functions of any type, from the very simple to the very complex. All 8 inputs can be used to perform complicated arithmetic functions, but the ALUT can be split in different ways for simpler functions, such as 2 LUTs with 3 and 5 inputs each. An ALUT can also be split to support a more complicated 7 input function with the extra input used for register packing. Splitting into 4 input LUTs makes the ALUT backwards compatible with 4 input LUT technology found in standard LEs. Finally, some other splits are possible if inputs can be shared between 2 functions. ALM-based FPGAs provide extremely high performance logic operations using fewer resources and smart resources management.